Meeting in special session. Conduct a public hearing on the proposed closure of Ranger Elementary. At this time, I'm going to ask Board Member Dana Snyder to lead us in the pledge, and I ask that you all join us.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Snyder. I can turn that on, didn't I?
That's all right.
All right, you folks in the back, can you hear this okay? That's yes, okay. Well, thank you for having us here tonight. Big turnout is what I expected, and what should happen. Just to give you an idea of how this procedure works is that we 5 board members serve sort of like a jury. We don't actually take part in any of the discussions or hearings, except to maybe ask the question to clarify a point that we weren't clear on. But the 5 board members will not be making any statement tonight. We have 2 more hearings like this, and we'll conduct them all the same way. And at some point, given to us. It's never easy to face having a school closure. We all in Lincoln County have done that with our high school system. We faced that. I personally went through that many years ago when my 2-room school, Orchard Branch, at 1 through 8, when it closed, it was heartbreaking. You lose the community. We have lost communities all over this county. We've all lost Ferrellsburg and Aidenville. Well, yeah, we can keep naming the At one point, when I was working in the school system, we had 16 or 18 schools, and now we're down to 8, I believe. It's not new to us, not new to Lincoln County. School systems all over the country are facing that with population decline of school-age children. Just as a side note, I saw the other day that the United States has a 0 birth rate, which means that we're just replacing our population. We aren't growing any. Birth rate does not, it's not above just normal place of staying where you're at. That's the realities of what we face. The situation with the Ranger in particular as one that's been discussed. I'll look at that for many years. It falls in this board's lap, unfortunately. And we're going to have to deal with it. But I can tell you that each one of these board members will give due diligence to what you say, due diligence to what Mr. Barnett, as superintendent of schools, who is acting in the best interest of the county school system. That's what we hired him for. We all have good intentions. There's no subterfuge or any sleight of hand about going on. We want it to be absolutely transparent and open to everyone. Unfortunately, a decision will be made one way or the other within the next few weeks. So with that, how this procedure will work is Mr. Barnett will present his case, if that you want to call it that. Then the people who have signed in, and we've got 11 people who have signed in. And according to board policy, you will have 5 minutes each. That's not a lot of time to plead your case, but with 11 people, that's kind of what we've got. So I will remind you of that when you come up to speak. Ask each person to come to this podium so that we can hear. I'm sorry.
Board policy is 3 minutes.
3. Can we be a little flexible?
That's okay.
Can we do both?
Sure.
Can't we? I know that's. I'm the oldest one. I should be able to stand it if you guys
I'm a
can.
kid that plays Monopoly and goes, sorry.
That's when you all changed that policy. wasn't it?
That's all right.
Okay. Mr. Barnett will speak. The 11 people will get to speak. Mr. Barnett will give, then we'll have questions and answers from the board or if something needs to be clarified. Then Mr. Barnett will make a closing statement, and that will conduct the hearing. That will dismiss the hearing. So with that, I'm going to ask our superintendent of schools, Mr. Frank Barnett, to in his closure process.
Well, again, sorry, I apologize for my voice. I'm not trying to be very white or anything. I just have a real bad chest cold, so I'm trying to do the best I can here. Early on this summer, Mr. Davis and I took a trip up and talked to Christine and told her that, we've been tasked with getting all the documents together and everything together to do this. So it was something I didn't want to call her on the phone. I didn't want to send her didn't want to call her on the phone. I didn't want to send her a letter. I wanted to come look her in the eye and tell her that we had, that I had been tasked to do. So, and part of what we're talking about here is that the county as a whole have been hemorrhaging students. Where our population has declined exponentially. I started here in Lincoln County in 1986. Was at Hamlin. We had the 4 high schools. I was a band teacher there. And for a while, came back as principal at Pine Valley High School. And mind you, we were a 7 through 12 school, but I think we had 675 students at that time. So since then, the population has declined so much that we've gone from having right at 4,000 students to now almost having right at 3,000 students. Part of that, we can shift the blame to COVID if you'd like, or we can just say that, like Mr. Bell mentioned earlier, looking at our birth rate, especially in Lincoln County, has dropped. We don't have a new core. We don't have, our industry's gone. So consequently, so is the population. And so is our per pupil allocation. It keeps, every time we lose a student, we lose roughly $8,000 of our allocation from the Department of Education. So that's kind of what we are. I mean, I hate to throw everything back to money, but money's what drives everything we do. We have to have it to live, to survive. Population of Lincoln County has experienced decline since 2010 census. In 2010, census data reflected Lincoln County had a population of 21,270 people. In 2020, that same data reflected that Lincoln County had a population of 20,463. That reflects a loss of 1,257 students or residents, or a 5.8% negative change. Student enrollment in Lincoln County has also realized decline during the past 10 years. During 2012-2013 school year, the total enrollment was 3,736 full-time students in Lincoln County. However, the student enrollment decreased to 2,942 for the 22 to 23 school year. That reflects a loss of 790 in enrollment. And looking at the trend data, I think Ranger this year has seven, I'm going to say 72. Christine, correct me if that's right,
Correct.
72. Looking at the trend data, the current population holds like it does, will be down, looking at by the time we reach the, let's say the 26, 27 school year, we're looking at 52. If population holds the way it is. So we had to do a table that actually stretched out 10 years. Looking at the population data from the Census Department. Looking at just the physical facility itself, and you know, just we had to. I had got my information from the Comprehensive Education Facilities Plan. That was done. I believe that was done about 3 years ago. So I got my information from there, and it says the physical appraisal of Granger Elementary were completed during the development phase of the current CEFP, or Comprehensive Education Facilities Plan. The written description of the school's physical structure identified many issues. The issues identified include, but are not limited to, the lack of a sprinkling system, lack of a safe school entrance, which led to school security audit as falling below average in all safety areas. The need for a complete wiring upgrade. There is no bus loop for pickup and drop off of students, as well as poor access roads leading to and from the property. The heating and air system is a mini split system and is at the end of its life expectancy. In addition, the sewer treatment plant has deteriorated to the point of needing replacement. And that was from the Department of Environmental Protection. That was from their report. So right now also it shows that the building utilization calculation is at 38%. From that report that was prepared for Lincoln County Schools 3 years ago to get this data. Nothing about this is pleasant. I take no pleasure in this, and I know that Christine will leave me on that. We've had many conversations. But we unfortunately we get ourselves in this spot with all county school systems, and it's not just here. This is not unique to Lincoln County. This is all over the place. We have such a declining enrollment, and with the uptick in homeschooling, charter schools, Hope Scholarship, things like that, we're getting students pulled out of us every day. And that's happening on a daily basis. So I welcome you to speak. You can speak at all 3 hearings. If the boards could vote to in a manner to which would suggest closing, then you're welcome to come to the state board meeting and speak. We have that opportunity as well. So I have nothing to hide from you. This board has nothing to hide from you once you know what you can and can't do. So we're opening up the floor now tonight to our first speakers, and we'll take everything and listen diligently. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it'll be the decision of these 5 people sitting around me up here on what happens next. So I appreciate you. I love that you love your school. I love that you love your community. And that means a lot to me. It's just a pleasure that everybody's here. And I wish it were under different circumstances. But I'm glad you're here, and now it's your opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Barnett. Brandy Kirk, would you come to the podium, please? And I said before, we've got a maximum of 5 minutes.
I supported most of you. Whenever it came time for you guys to get the job that you're doing right now. One of the things that I want to start off with is having staffing for the students. As you know, the news most recently covered West Hamlin. There was a child that was left behind on a field trip. And it's public comment on social media, on Facebook, and a lot of parents was trying to justify what had happened by saying that there was just simply too many kids for the amount of students that was there, and that's why the child got left behind. Whether or not that's true, that's not my decision, but that's just some of the things that are being said by other parents in the county that was trying to justify what that teacher had said. On another note, you guys have mentioned declining population in our county, but yet you're wanting to build another school at Duval. There's Hamlin Pre-K-8, West Hamlin Pre-K-8, Lincoln County High School, which, and if we close Ranger, it leaves one school over here, which is Harts. So you can kindly see, if you would put that out on the map, how many schools are being grouped over towards Hamlin. And then there's one little school left over here on this side. Nothing in between. We have Guy Valley too. Guy Valley is not in the best shape either. So with that being said, I would want to ask why we would want to build another school at Duval, if we're already pressed for funds. Whenever there's a school there that they can, I'm sure, go to. And if the issue would be that they would be at you had made another comment that said that Ranger falls below the desired percentage that you guys would like to see in attendance. I believe from the scale that I seen, that Hart's percentage was very close to Ranger's percentage on that. Most of Ranger with the zip code in Ranger comes over here to Hart's. They are bused over here. I'm not sure who designed the bus routes whenever Hart's was built, but a lot of Ranger students have came to Hart's and are being bused to Hart's. So that took away from Ranger's enrollment numbers for that. There's also another question that I would like to ask, if can parents who have more than one child transfer their other children from Guy Valley Middle School or Lincoln County High School to Hart's and Chapmanville Regional High School, so all of their children will be in the same school? And how much is that going to cost Lincoln County Board of Education, and how will it impact student enrollment in Guy Valley Middle School and Lincoln County High School? With that being said, I have a lot of children that go to Ranger Elementary, that currently go there, that have went there in the past. I went there whenever I was growing up. Not only do I have a sentimental attachment to it, but my children do as well. The staff there is like no other. I've been to every school because we go to schools, we clog. So we visit schools. We've not visited every school in the county, but we have visited schools. And I'm not trying to downplay any of the other schools, but Ranger has been the most home-hearted school. Tri-state area. So I'm gonna pass the podium off to the next person.
All right, thank you, Brandy.
See you at the next meeting.
I'm not sure. She asked a couple of good questions that you might want to address. Well, the one big one is Duval. Why build Duval?
Well,
The thing all since the replacement of building has been, it will serve the Midway students and the students that will not in the county. Right now, they're housed in the central office. And never, I'm saying, that's my understanding of it. It's simply replacing a building that's basically because of the slippage. That's what I understand. The reason they've also been built, the school building authorities already money for that.
It's not county, but it's state.
And it's state money, county.
Yes.
Christina Mounts.
Have a packet for each of you. I have addressed every item that Mr. Barnett took from the CEFP report. I have attached in here the CEAP identification of every issue that every school in Lincoln color page. Rangers identification for all of those items. If you would look at those, every one of the schools have almost identical. No sprinkling system. Guyan Valley in particular, the structure of that building is, I'll just read straight from it.
You see the color of the page you're looking at. I'm a man, I can't tell salmon.
Well, there is in the front of it on purple, there is a table of contents. I have addressed every item that was brought into this impact statement. I have supporting information for every item that's in this impact statement regarding every school in this county. I've done a lot of homework, spent lots of hours, and had lots of sleepless nights. I love my school. I love my family. I love my children because they are my family. And I'm not saying that lightly. Dana's known me for years, and so is Butchie. The rest of you, some of you know me, some of you don't. I have lived, eat, sleep, anything you want to say for Ranger for over 22 years. I've given my entire life to Ranger. So it's very, very, even though it's not personal, it's personal. Those babies, in my eyes, deserve to have their school just as much as any other child. Is bus routes. The transportation department identified bus routes and the time frame that those buses take to get the kids where they are from their home, the first child that's picked up till the child is brought to Ranger and the first child gets off the bus. I did actual bus runs. I know exactly what time the first kid gets on the bus. I know exactly what time they pull in my parking lot to let those kids off. There's a big discrepancy. You will find that in. And if you want to check my information out, check the GPS systems on those buses. They will tell you exactly when the first kid was picked up. They will tell you exactly when the kid was dropped off in my parking lot. When a kid is already on the bus for 50 minutes in the evening, and the suggested time frame is 30, and they're already getting in trouble on the buses, what do you think 15 more minutes is going to add? Because coming from the mouth of 37, and there's a few bus stops before you get to the bottom 14, you come across 14 and pull in Hart's parking lot. How many minutes is that going to take? They estimated it's 8.5 miles. That's probably true. But it takes, I timed it myself, and I'm not a person that drives the speed limit, but I drove the speed limit of 55. Took me approximately 14 minutes. Now, I could be wrong. My timing could be off. But if you add that amount of time to 50 minutes, you have, and the first kids that get on the bus, there's 2 first graders and there's a 2nd grader that get on the bus at 6. You'll find it. I'll tell you exactly what time they get on the bus.
They're the first ones.
They're the first ones. They get at the top of the hill on Coke Gap. They come all the way down out of Coke Gap, across the mountain, down. They come down 37. Then this is the evening run. Let me give you the evening run because that's where it's 50 minutes.
5 seconds.
Oh, I'll move on then. There's one more thing. The green paper. Find the green sheet because we allow kids that come to Hearts, and there's 50 of them, come to Hearts, but I only did it on 40. If we allow those kids to come to Hearts and then they go on to Logan County, to Chapel Regional, and we pay $6,700 per child, because I don't think Logan County is going to let us out of that. You have over a 10-year period for every grade level, I've got it marked, tells you exactly how much it's going to cost. It's over $1.3 million. Now, the other 1,400, if those kids opt, say, right now, this year, there was 0 kids that went to Lincoln High School. Last year, there was 5 from Hearts. If those kids, the $1,400 for federal comes to $285,000. Are we going to give?
I have to cut you off. I'm sorry.
Okay. It's all there. I did my math. And I did it per grade level, per kid for 10 years.
All right. Thank you very much, ma'am. Stephanie Gray.
I didn't mean to sound rude, but I'm passionate about what I love, and Ranger is what I love.
My first question would have to be is if Ranger does close, what's gonna happen to our teachers and staff in faculty? Are they gonna go to other schools or are they just gonna be without a job? Second question would be, are Ranger students going to be given the opportunity to change from Hearts to Guyan Valley once they reach 6th grade? My other question would be, if Ranger does close, what's going to happen to the school? Is it going to be another failed community center? That's what's happened with all the other schools that have closed. Thank you.
That was fast. Thank you. Mr. Barnett, would you like to address the one about teachers and staff? Because there is a procedure to be followed.
Okay, sorry. That will be during personnel, when we look at total enrollment, total amount of staff. But honestly, and I can't make a promise, but we have a whole lot of long-term substitutes that are already in place. And I don't foresee anyone losing any position. It may not be where you are, but I don't see, if this happens, I don't see anyone losing a position. We have too many people that are in place right now with long-term substitutes. That's what's the substitutes. Yes, that's true.
Let's see if I heard that correct. You do not foresee any of the current staff.
And they're
Not having a job in Lincoln County.
Right, that's correct.
Of course, that always comes out to certifications and whether you're qualified for the position.
Correct.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Ms. Gray. We got back on schedule here. All right, Sarah Sharp.
That's my voice. I'm having the same problem as Mr. Barnett. I'll try to speak up. My name is
Would you
Sarah
start
Sharp.
this mic?
I'm sorry, I'll use it. I'm usually a loud mouth, so I,
Here's the cough drop.
oh, I better not. You'll hear me clicking. My name is Sarah Sharp, and I am a fairly new substitute teacher in Lincoln County. And I would like to start off by telling you, and I know I don't have a lot of time, but I do want you to know the main reason why I became a substitute teacher. And that reason is Ranger Elementary and Christine Mounts. I started off in Lincoln County School System close to 15 years ago as a substitute secretary. And one day I was called out to little tiny Ranger Elementary. My daughter was about 2 years old at the time. And she was having a really hard day. She had lost her Nana, which was her pacifier. And when your principal looks at you and says, you bring that child to schools. Like, that is your family immediately. That is not a school that you want to shut down. And that is not a woman that you do not want to be a principal running a school and loving every person that comes through her doors that way. Every child, every family member of every child that ever comes through the door of that school continues to be loved that way, and you know it because when they are in middle school and they are in high school and they are on a school bus and they come in the morning to see her, to get a hug and to say, I hope you have a great day, and for her to say the things that she says to them so that they can go on their day and have a good day. Why would you take that away? And it's not to say that they couldn't have that somewhere else, but they don't want it somewhere else. They want it in their home. That's the environment that makes people want to be teachers. And we don't have a whole lot of that in schools these days. I knew that I wanted to be a part of that school. So when my daughter became old enough that I felt like I wanted something to do, she was my only child. I'm the kind of person that thrives in a school because I'm a mama first. And you get to be a mama ranger to these kids. For the long run. They never forget you because it's the kind of school where you make a difference to children, to their families. It would be devastating to close a school that provides so much more than education to so many people. And when you close a building, it's not just that. You would be closing a home. What does Ranger have? What's going to follow? What's going to be the effect on everything else in this little tiny community that's almost gone already? Where do these children's identities go? Do they find another one somewhere? No, they shouldn't have to. That's their home. That's their school. And they deserve it as much as any other kid in their own community deserves to have their own. The building's problems is not worth taking that away from 72 kids, 50 kids, 15 kids. I do not see a low enrollment as a negative thing. That is the most positive thing about that school. As a substitute teacher, I walked into my very first classroom, a pre-K room that had 8 kids. And I was able to give every single student every bit of attention that they needed. I spent the entire first part of this school year in kindergarten until just recently when their wonderful kindergarten teacher got to come back from maternity leave. She was able to know that the same person that would be with her babies every day and was going to love them and care for them and give them everything that she wanted to come back to. I was able to give, again, 8 kindergarten students every bit of attention that they needed. How are these kids going to get that when they go to another school where they're already either at capacity or they have multiple classrooms? Where else are they going to get that kind of attention? Low enrollment is not a bad thing. Why are we even saying that? It's a wonderful thing. I realize that I am probably almost out of time, but I do have one question. I was not at not having a replenishment of students in our county. Shouldn't Lincoln County be more concerned about setting our Ranger students up to ultimately attend Logan County, because that's what you're doing? If you send some students Hart's way, it's going to be a lot, I'm assuming. I don't know what's going to determine which student goes where. When those students go to Hart, just like Mrs. Mount said, they are going to choose to go to Chapmanville. And if the concern is the money and the students, leaving our county already. Why are we not more concerned about sending that amount of students onto Logan County and out of Lincoln County? How much is that going to cost? We want to keep them. We want our students. We want our school. We want to keep them here. Thank you for hearing me. And I just hope that you guys hear our plea today, and we can appreciate just being allowed to speak. So thank you.
Thank you.
Katrina Moore. Ms. Moore?
Rena, the Secretary of Reader, and I'm here.
Like this as well?
No, I do not. I am very emotional about this, so I'm sorry. But watching, thinking about my baby. Like Miss Christina said, the kids are already on the bus long enough. And then we know this because we have to stay until the last kid is dropped off every day. And there are several times I've had to drive Christina to the bus to get on the bus with kids because they can't make it home. Or we've had to pick kids up off the bus and take them on home because of issues. If you add another 30 minutes on that, your rate is dropping by half. I mean, it's just going to. Because they're getting suspended on the bus. I hate that. And another thing, I do bus duty in the morning. I help with bus duty in the morning. There's usually 3 or 4 people out there, maybe more at times when the aides come out there. And you guys are upset about us not having a bus. But it is a small area. The traffic goes slow through there in the mornings. So that's not a problem, thank goodness. And then our buses back into our parking lot. I realize that's not ideal. But when they back into our parking lot, you have Mr. Hicks at the bus door. You have Miss Amy out front of the bus. And then I usually stand out at the gate and keep it blocked. So no one's coming in our parking lot. They're gonna have to run over 3 very big people if they want to get to our babies. But I do love these babies, and I hate to think that they're gonna have to miss out on their education. And thank you for hearing me. I'm sorry I got so emotional.
That's fine. Thank you. Sarah Egner. Sarah Egner.
Good afternoon. I'm the cook at Ranger, but they call me the chef. Those kids brighten my day. Not only the kids, staff members, like everybody else. It's a home away from home. We have a lot of kids that need the one-on-one. And when you combine these schools together, they're not gonna get it. They're not. You look at the trouble at Lincoln County High School, where you've already combined high schools together. That's not what we want for these kids. These kids need us just as much as we need them. Another thing too, is what I can't get through my head is all the things that you all are saying or stating that is wrong with our school. How long has that school been built? Why weren't they repaired then? Why bring it up now? You spent money on a brand new football field, which if I'm right or wrong, I may be wrong, But wasn't the Lions Club, the reason you all bought that was for the school? But then you borrowed money to build a field for the football? Whether it belonged to the high school or not. There's no school has a football field by the wasn't, that's just a waste of money. And as far as the school buses, you've never had a problem before. All of a sudden you have a problem now. Makes no sense. We don't have sprinklers. How long has the school been built? Our tiles, how long has the school been built? No problem then, but all of a sudden it is now. It's ridiculous. One more question is, are Guyan Valley students who have siblings attending Harts PK from Ranger Elementary going to be able to transfer to Harts? Again, I'm like everybody else. That's a lot of time for those kids to be on the school bus. A lot of time. It doesn't take us as adults or teachers or whoever else, staff members, to drive to work. But remember the kids. You know, again, we have a lot of kids that need the one-on-one. And they're just, this may be their first year coming into the school. But they need it, and they're not gonna get it at Harts. They're not gonna get it at West Ham. Because you're gonna have more kids there than what you think you have. Think of our kids. That's who I'm thinking about, is the kids, not myself. There's always jobs out there, but think of the kids, of the love that we all share for those kids and the attention that we give to those kids. Same thing from the kids. They love us all there. They really, really do. And we love them. Think about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Julie Moore.
My name is Julie Moore, and I was gonna say pretty much what Sarah was gonna say. We are a loving. All different schools, and I must say that Christina and the staff here made me feel more like family than any other school that I went to. And I'm from Harts, and I love everybody at Harts. I know everybody at Harts. And they treat me like family too, but the way that they make me feel is just, it's just a blessing to me. And I love all the children, and being a small school, you know each children by name. So therefore, if you miss a child, you're like, where's little Johnny at? Oh my God. You know that child is gone, because it's like one of your own. It's like you having your own children, you know them, because they're so small of groups. And that's a good thing. I agree with Sarah, that is a good thing, because that way you don't miss none of your children. You know them all. And if one's missing, you know. And my question is, will the special needs aides who work with Lincoln County special needs students, will they be able to go to Harts and West Hamlin as well as Chapmanville Regional High School with these students? And who will pay the aides? Will it be Lincoln County still paying them even though they're going to Logan? Won't they be losing that money if they still pay the aides and they're in Logan? So that's one of my questions too. So thank you.
Parker Dobbs. Parker, you want the microphone?
Yeah.
I'm not sure we can see you behind that podium.
Just come right there.
Just come right here.
Yeah,
There you
fine. It's quite fast. Okay.
go. Okay.
I think when the mattress should stay open because you want to be as friends and family. Meet you. And another thing, you ain't gonna know nobody when you go to a new school. You ain't gonna know nobody because you're gonna be going to a new area you have never been at in your probably your whole life if you haven't been to a different school. That's all.
Parker, I think you'll fit in no matter where you go. Kelly Hager. Kelly Hager.
I have a couple stories. One, Miss Sarah and Miss Brady's little boy Wyatt that is in their class. I babysit him. He has PTSD from a lot of trauma he suffered from his mommy. He's my friend's foster son. And he has calmed down so much just from last year to this year. He's like a different child. And I don't think that would have happened in a bigger school because you can't give them that individual attention, take them to a different room to help them calm down. Last year, I had to pick him up all the time because he was throwing furniture, climbing shelves, hitting people with things. And this year I've only had to pick him up one time. And that's because he actually had to do work like, what was it, Sarah? The diagnostics on the iPad to see where his learning level was. He wanted to play games on it and got mad because he couldn't play games. And then my other story, my little girl I babysit, she's not.
Excuse me a second, ma'am. Are you a member of the staff at Ranger?
No,
Okay, I didn't.
no, I went to Ranger and
Okay,
when the new.
well, the reason I was gonna stop you, if you're talking about children and you're a member of the
No, no, no,
staff,
I'm
right? So I just wanted to clear that up.
But Hannah, I babysat her. Her grandfather died, and so in mid-March, she moved from Meadows, which at that time, I don't know now, but Meadows in Huntington was a school of excellence at this time. Christina knows. When Hannah came, Miss Sally Smith, her kindergarten class, they could read, they could write sentences in their journals. Hannah couldn't do any of that. She was so far behind from being at Meadows to Ranger that they talked that she might have to be held back in kindergarten. Miss Sally Smith, Miss Christina, me, and Mommy and Daddy decided that wasn't going to happen. And so Miss Sally Smith would take an hour a day just with Hannah and got her caught up because it was a smaller class. She could do that. Hannah did not get held back. She was ready for first grade and got to go on. But that couldn't have happened at a bigger school with 30 kids in a class. And now she is graduated from Lincoln County and doing great. And I don't understand the want to make bigger classrooms. And I know this isn't you all just saying, oh, we're going to close this school and that school. But my question is, all these things are wrong with the school. Why has none of this been maintained or upgraded from all this time? I started 5th grade that year in the new classrooms when the gym was added. I started 5th grade that year and in one of the new classrooms, and I'm 53. And I started that year in 5th grade. I was 9 years old and turned 10 in October. So that's been 40 some years ago since any real building was done at that school. My question is, why hasn't it been maintained and let to get that deteriorated? Just thank you for listening.
William Neese.
Good evening. I got a few pretty straightforward questions. I got 3 children in Ranger Elementary and I have a child in Sky Valley. So if you guys make the decision to close Ranger and 3 of my children come to Hearts and they meet new friends and classmates in Hearts, then are my kids going to be split up between 2 different high schools? I mean, are they going to have that option? Or will my daughter have the option to transfer from Guy Valley over here so that she can go to school with her siblings? That's one concern. Another concern that's been raised here multiple times is the length of time that these children spend on these bus routes. And it's already, you know, in these rural areas, it's already extensive. And, you know, kids get bored. They're going to be gone from their house to school, and then they're going to come home to work on homework and et cetera. You're robbing them of crucial time that they'll never get back. Not you personally, but the situation.
I understand.
You know, Ranger staff has done an amazing job of working with what they have. I know that the school doesn't seem like much. My foster son has been in about 4 different schools. None of them can handle it. He has excelled at Ranger and done very well this year. He's only been there this year. He's been to school in Wayne County. He's been to school at West Hamlin Elementary. He's been to school at East Lynn Elementary. He's been to school at Wayne County, again, Wayne County Elementary. And it's been nothing but trouble, and his IEP was very extensive. His IEP and the situations and things that have been cut down to half. He gets on the school bus with and rides the bus with other children without an aide. He has come full circle. He can, you know, he couldn't write his name in the grade he was in. Now he can write his name. He can write things down on paper. Ranger has done great for him, as well as my other children. They do an incredible job with the facility they have. And I think had that been maintained to some degree, we wouldn't be in as bad a situation. But I served as jury duty this year in the Lincoln County Courthouse. And I feel like it was in as bad a shape, of course, as Ranger Elementary School, because every time it rained, the rooms were flooding. So I feel like as Lincoln County as a whole, the facilities aren't confined to Ranger Elementary. But I think we do have some obstacles to overcome. But I think the school's very important for our community. It's done great for when you're talking the money game, these things just kind of get swept to the side. But I'm talking about the future of these kids, and these kids are the future of Lincoln County. They're their residents. They're the ones that are growing up to you know, supersede us. And if they're not getting proper education, they're getting burned out from long bus rides. They're and bouncing from school to school and growing up in communities that they don't know. Then I think that's going to negatively impact their development. So I think my question would be, with the families that already have children across multiple Lincoln County schools, how are you guys going to delegate what options those families have of getting all their kids into the same school system? And then isn't that, and I'm sure it's already been said up here, but isn't that going to cost Lincoln County money in the long run anyway?
Obviously, we don't have an answer for you.
Yes. These are just, I mean, it's already, you know, I know everything up here has been said. I'm just a dad, just working and trying to get my kids through school. My daughter,
I've lost count of the time. I'm sorry. I didn't start.
just been a few moments. I'll be brief. My daughter, my oldest daughter went to Wayne Elementary before we moved to Lincoln County. She broke her wrist at school. The school was so big. She got sent on to play and she got sent home, and I never got a phone call. I ended up in the ER that night, and my daughter got casted to her elbow for a broken wrist. That would not happen at Ranger School. If my kids aren't at school, get what they need. They get what they need. And I've had kids in other school systems. You just don't get that. I just don't want to lose it. I don't want to lose it. I really want my kids to have a chance at a bright future, and I really want them to be able to do their best. And I feel like the staff at Ranger is going to do that for them. And I feel like bouncing them into different school systems and lengthy bus routes is just going to hinder that progress. But I'm going to.
Thank you, Mr. Hicks. Christy Gray.
I'm Chrissy Ray. I have a 9-year-old at Ranger Elementary. She is in 4th grade. She came into Ranger under some extreme circumstances. She was going through some things, and it worried me. It worried me sending her away from home, into an environment that was not a home environment. Although I have experience, I had a son that went to Ranger, I knew what to expect. Still very concerned. I mean, very concerned that they wouldn't be able to meet the needs of, I guess you could consider trauma at the time. She went in pre-K, very withdrawn. We've had a lot of worries about her. They kept an eye on her. Every individual teacher there and aide and even the cook, they know her. They know what to look for. They knew her shortcomings and what needed to be nurtured in her for her to grow at that moment. And by the time she ended pre-K, she had come out of her shell. She was a happy little girl again. She was, there. I know that's what it was. I do not think that she would have done that well anywhere else. You'll never convince me that she did. That being said, that's my personal reasons, there's a lot of memories there that I love. But I think it's a testament, all of these people coming up here, and all the teachers talking and crying because they have to leave our children. That is how they are. That is how they feel. That's the passion they have for their job. That's the passion they have and the love that they have for our children. That's what our children are greeted with every morning. That when they leave every day, they're in line waving, telling these kids they love them. And there's a lot of children there like Maggie that enter that school and you don't know what their life is like at home. That school provides probably the most normal thing they will have all day, all year. That is the most normal thing for them. That is where they've learned to love. It's just so much bigger than it being an elementary school. That being said, I do have questions about, as Trina said, with the school bus loop system. I drop off my child every morning and I pick her up. There's about 8 of us. It is not a traffic jam. There is no cars, there's no honking, there's no screaming. There is no problem with this pickup and drop off system whatsoever. We have 3-4 school buses. At the very least, you might be inconvenienced by about 1 second while you let somebody else drive past. So that issue, I don't even understand. The second one is the air conditioning unit that is on its last leg. That air conditioning unit was actually donated to the school by the Ranger Homecoming Committee, because like always, we take care of our own at Ranger. And if it's on, that wasn't even provided. Where are kids going to go to school? What is, like everybody's wondering, what is the cutoff for who's going to go where? Do we have a choice? And that's all I can have to say. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you. I want to commend all of you who've spoken and all of you who are in the audience for giving us a good meeting. As I said on the outset, this board is the jury. We are trying to get down to what the best decision is. The other board members, I'm sure, is like me. I've been digging and looking at possibilities and asking questions, and I'm going to ask a couple of real hard questions here in just a moment. But I'm sorry, some young lady back in the back said, what are the plans for the school? Obviously, we don't have any official plans because we haven't closed anything. But looking at all contingencies, I have been talking to members of the county commission about taking, if we decide to close, to take the school and turn it into not just a community center, but a work center. Give out rent-free spots for somebody to set up a beauty shop or boutique or a mom and pop store or something of that nature. So we are doing some talking. Nothing has been questions here that I need some information that would count into. 68 kids in enrollment down there now.
72.
72, okay. 50 have chosen to go to this school. Is that correct?
Not chosen.
No, they just would be.
The cutoff line, from my understanding, is Ranger Bridge south would come to Hearts. I could be
No,
wrong.
I'm talking about now. We have Ranger kids coming to Hearts now. Correct?
When you look at the River Bend, Beaver Pond area,
Uh-huh.
those people all have Ranger address.
Historically, where have they gone to school?
Hearts. They went to Aidendale.
They've always gone to Hearts. Okay, so that doesn't change. Okay, I misunderstood that.
Geographically, if you're looking at, if you're basing, because part of my children that live up
Yeah.
10 Mile have a Rangeland address.
Okay, so the 50 you were referring to was after the closing event. Yeah, well,
Those 50 children.
if closing occurred, you would lose 50 to the Hearts area,
Yes,
which means you ultimately lose in the Chapmanville.
yes. But I think
Currently,
we can-
currently, every year, Lincoln County loses well over $1 million with the eighth graders going to Chapmanville every year, if you count them in school for 4 years. That's a concern, certainly. And here's a hard question, and it doesn't have an answer. Ranks schools by student scores. Schools in the configuration of Ranger. 358 in the state. Test score wise. Ranger ranked 356 out of 358. It was third worst student score in the state. You know, you can send me that data for that. That's what comes to my mind. That's a question that I want answered is, and again, we haven't made up our mind, but I want to know why we're satisfied with low test scores.
You turn to pink packet, not being disrespectful, not being rude, or not being.
Find it for me. I can't help taking from Savvy.
Not the hot thing, but.
I have done all of the. Look for the dynamics of Ranger children
Okay,
right here.
Okay.
Now, if you look at the dynamics of the children, the student at Ranger,
okay. I will read this later if you don't mind. I just need that information.
to really take into consideration and look at
Okay.
every one of those.
We
And I
as a
even
board-
broke it down even farther for you
we
in
as
the
a board
charts.
Look at all the data that's involved and make the best decision. So thank you for providing that. I will read it and not going to take the
I
time
ask
right
you
now.
to please read every page of
I will
this,
do that.
every one of them.
May I question it, where's our time? You had mentioned before.
I can't hear you.
What you had mentioned before about the possible plans for the building. My question is, if that building was going to be turned into anything at all, the repairs that you're talking about that we needed as a school, wouldn't that have to be done anyway and that money put in anyway?
Not by the Board of Education.
Be the county commission.
It would be the county commission.
Okay. So,
Uh,
a big deal.
Does any of the board members have any other questions to ask? Oh, that's what that sound was. Okay, all right. With that, I'm going to ask Mr. Barnett to give a closing statement. And again, I want to commend all of you for a very nice meeting. Mr. Barnett?
I just want to say I appreciate everyone coming out. And I know that you're passionate about your school. I know that. I've seen it. I've seen it firsthand. I don't know whether any of you were at the board meeting the night I commended this staff. One day the building flooded. And Mr. Davis and I got up there. And I got up there in time to see teachers carrying students down the hallway to the bathroom so that they wouldn't get their feet wet. I saw, where's my cook? Where'd she go? I saw her jump into action. And when we told them they were going to be closing in about, 15, 20 minutes, I saw her jump into action, make sure every one of those children had not only something to eat right then, but something to take home with them.
Oh, I can help with that though. I know.
Well, I know, but I saw it. You're the first one I saw. She also, wanted to make sure I didn't, go into flipper mode in the cafeteria there, sliding in the wall. Take it personally, but I assure you that it's nothing from my heart that's personal. I went to a very small school and, in Cabell County years ago. And I assure you that it's nothing like that. And I know that I have faith in these board members that they'll take everything you've said and everything that you've written and peel through it with a fine tooth comb before any kind of decisions made. Yes, ma'am.
As you mentioned about the flooding, this is another thing on the agenda that y'all, it wasn't Ranger School's fault. It was basically your all's fault or whoever there at the board's office that didn't come fix the gutters. As many years we've asked them to come clean them. And all of a sudden, the school flooded and here we are today.
Thank you.
So it's their responsibility, not with their responsibility.
Concluded your statement. Okay, Mr. Barnett is finished. The board unfortunately has to go into executive session on a personnel issue. We have a motion in a second, but that will conclude our public meeting tonight. Like I say, we have two more left. One on Monday night at where? West Hamlin on Monday night at 7:00. And then at Ranger next Thursday night at 7:00. And of course, everyone's welcome to come and we'll proceed the same way. With that, I thank you for coming. I'd like to have a motion and a second.
If the decision is made to get everything.
I'm sorry.
It wouldn't be right away. It's for the following school year.
I'm the one that always tells me. I start to follow that. Voice it, that was funny. Okay. All right. With that, I'd like to have a motion and a second.
Motion that we go into executive.
The story makes a motion to go into executive session for personnel issue. Snyder seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. And this public meeting's adjourned and we're going to executive session.
Thank all of you for coming.